Hi there, this is Dr. May, and this is a part 2 of my solving variables on both sides equations video. I will definitely link part 1 for you down in the description. But we talked a little bit in part 1 about getting all the variables on one side. And what I'd like to do in these examples to show you how simplifying first then allows us to do a little bit easier time when we move all the variables to one side. So if I look here at number 5, I'm looking at the right side of the equation. Let me put my imaginary line for that equal sign. And I see that I have the 7c and the negative 2c. I like to highlight those because they kind of stand out in my mind then. I'll go ahead and combine those. 7c minus 2c gives me 5c. So I've got 5c, and then I've got this minus 14. I don't want to lose that. It's not a like term with the c, so I can't join it, but it definitely goes in the equation still. All right, so now our next step is to get all the variables on one side. I like my variables to come to the left, so I'm going to move the 5c by subtracting 5c from both sides. You'll notice that I lined that up underneath the 8c, and the reason I'm doing that is because of like terms. So 8c minus 5c gives me 3c plus 1, and then plus 5c minus 5c, that gives me 0. And I'm left with, don't miss this, the negative 14. All right, and now look at what we have. We have what's called a two-step equation. You may ask yourself, how do you know it's a two-step equation? Because there's two things happening to the variable. The variable's being multiplied by 3 and being added by 1. So we're going to do the opposite of adding 1, which is to subtract 1. Notice how I did it to both sides of that equal sign. So that leaves me with 3c plus 1 and minus 1 cancel out. So I just draw a line through them, equal to negative 14 minus 1, which is negative 15. Now I'm just going to hop over here and rewrite that equation that I'm left. 3c equals negative 15. Didn't do anything, just rewrote it so I had more space. Now I'm going to undo the multiplying by 3 by dividing by 3. The reason I do that is because 3 divided by 3 is 1. C equals negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. Or we could easily say C is negative 5. Now, you may say to me, Dr. May, I don't do real good with the negatives. That's okay. Use the Desmos graphing calculator. It's down. I put a link in the description for you because it's free, and I want you to use it and have the benefit of it. Let's do another one, a little bit more difficult, okay? This one, I'm going to begin my simplifying on the left-hand side this time because I see this parentheses and it looks like I need a distributive property. Now, the question, I get a lot of students who tell me they're going to distribute the 7, and that is actually not correct. Instead, I want them to change that minus to a plus and change the sign on the 7 so that it's easier for them to see that they're going to distribute a negative 7 than just a 7. They're going to distribute negative 7 here to the t, and they're going to distribute negative 7 to the 1. Now the 5 is going to stay out here in front. Let's distribute that negative 7. Negative 7 times t is negative 7t. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. And now on the left, I'm doing a lot of simplifying on the left, totally okay. I'm going to combine like terms. I notice the negative 7 and the 5 don't have any variables with them, so I know I can combine them. Negative 7t is going to stay the same. And then I've got 5 plus negative 7, which is negative 2. All right, done all the simplifying that I can. Notice there's no more parentheses, so I know distributive property's done. There are no more like terms to be combined. along that imaginary equal line at the equal sign. So now I'm ready to get all the variables on one side. I like my variables to be on the left. So I'm going to move the negative 10t by doing the opposite, which is positive 10t. Notice that I line it up underneath the t variable on the left. So negative 7t plus 3t, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Negative 7t plus 10t is 3t minus 2 equals, notice the negative 10t, positive 10t, that gives me 0, and I have 3. Now I'm running out of room. So let's do a little rewrite over here. I'm just taking this equation here, 3t minus 2 equals 3. And now we have our two-step equation. So what's happening to the variable? It's being multiplied by 3, being subtracted by 2. So we're going to do the opposite of subtracting 2, which is to add 2, doing it to both sides of the equation. If you want to draw your imaginary line again here, that's fine. And so that gives me 3t minus 2 plus 2 cancel equals 3 plus 2 is 5. Now let's do the opposite of multiplying by 3, which is to divide by 3. And I get t equals 5/3. And some of my algebra students go, we did something wrong. Because they think anytime they get a fraction that we didn't solve the problem correctly. And that's just not true. Okay? Many times when we get into algebra classes, that's when we start to get what we might not think is a nice number answer. Okay? It's totally fine that you got a fraction as your answer. All right, we've got one more. Let's look at number 7 here. I am seeing lots of distributing here with this problem. Okay, so let me draw my imaginary equal sign line. And I'm seeing over here on the left that I'm going to distribute the 2. Okay, and I'm seeing over here on the right, I'm going to distribute the 5. Okay, so this 5 out here, he's not part of the distributing, so we'll just put him out in front. Now let's distribute the 2. 2 times k gives me 2k. 2 times 4 gives me 8. Now over here on the right, we're distributing the 5. 5 times k gives me 5k. 5 times 3 gives me 15. And this plus 10 wasn't part of the distributing, so we leave him out. All right, now we need to combine our like terms. I've got plus 5 plus 8. That gives me 2k plus 13. 5 plus 8 giving me 13. And over here on the right, I've got negative 15, positive 10. So we'll leave our 5k, and then negative 15 plus 10 gives me negative 5. All right, now we're ready to get variables all on one side. I'm moving the 5k by subtracting 5k from both sides. Notice I lined it up underneath the other k term. 2k minus 5k is negative 3k plus 13. 5k minus 5k, we know that gives us 0. We've done that. Don't lose my negative on the 5. Okay, now we need some more space. So let's go over to this other side. We're just rewriting negative 3k plus 13 equals negative 5. And now I'm ready. I have my two-step equation. I'm starting to do the opposite. So the opposite of adding 13 is to subtract 13. That leaves me with negative 3k plus 13 minus 13 cancel equals negative 5 minus 13 is negative 18. Friends, last step here, we're doing the opposite of multiplying by negative 3, which is to divide by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1k. equals 6. Now, my part 2, this video, definitely a step up in difficulty from my part 1. But I want you to see it's very doable. We had a simplifying step first, and then we got the variables all on one side. Then we got to a two-step equation where we start doing the opposites. Okay? I want you to see that there's a pattern here to our solving technique. And I'm hoping that's going to help you as you're solving your equations. Thanks for sticking in there for the video. I hope this helps. Bye for now.